On this Sunday night, contradictions on Alberta separatism. In an exclusive interview, what the U.S. ambassador to Canada says about the issue.
No, we're not meeting with the separatists and strategizing this at all.
And what Alberta separatists and others say about U.S. involvement. Protests and arrests in Turkey with a NATO summit there about to begin. Ukraine's urgent plea for help and the urgency of a peace deal at the meeting. Wild weather on the prairies. Central Alberta's golf ball-sized hail, a state of emergency issued in Brandon, Manitoba, and wildfire evacuations in BC. And how Canada's loss to Morocco yesterday is actually a big win for Canadian soccer of tomorrow.
Every time I sing "Oh Canada," I cry.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Colleen Christie.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. With the vote happening in a few months, Alberta's looming referendum on separatism is casting a shadow over national unity, and questions remain about what role our neighbour to the south is playing in it. Separatist leaders claim they've been talking with U.S. officials who could supposedly help their cause. Now, in an exclusive interview for Global News, the U.S. ambassador to Canada tries to clear up the Trump administration's stance on the issue. Our Mackenzie Gray spoke with Pete Hoekstra. Mackenzie.
U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra has directly contradicted claims made by prominent Alberta separatists, Colleen, saying the Trump administration has not met with them and they haven't discussed any potential financial support.
No, we're not meeting with the separatists and strategizing this at all. No.
So no $50 billion credit facility. They've said that was the case, that the American government has had conversations with them about that. That's not true?
Not that I know of, no.
That runs contrary to what Alberta Prosperity leader Jeffrey Rath has said, tweeting in January, "We look forward to meeting with U.S. Treasury officials next month to discuss our feasibility study regarding a $500 billion USD line of credit to support the transition to a free and independent Alberta." The Financial Times has also reported that 3 meetings have taken place between Rath's group and the U.S. State Department. They've said that there have been meetings between administration officials and them. Can you confirm that has happened?
Separatists can say whatever they want.
But did that happen?
I don't know. As far as I know, in our dialogue with the State Department, number one, we meet with all kinds of different groups.
As for the referendum itself, do you want Alberta to stay a part of Canada?
That's the president's call. I think at this point in time, we've made it very clear we are not going to take a position on that. That's a decision that is to be made by the people of Alberta, the province of Alberta, and the federal government.
But the Treasury Secretary did have lots to say in Alberta back in January.
Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S. They have great resources. The Albertans are very independent people. Rumor that they may have a referendum on whether they want to stay in Canada or not. People want sovereignty. They want what the U.S. has got.
Hoekstra dismissed Scott Bessent's remarks, instead focusing on things he was upset about, including the Ontario government's anti-tariff ads.
There are lots of instances of Canadian politicians saying things about American politics or American policies and those types of things that I'm not happy about. I don't focus on them.
I also spoke with Hoekstra about if he wants to continue in his role as ambassador and if he was looking for other jobs in the administration, Colleen. The full interview is on our website, globalnews.ca.
Mackenzie, on his way to the NATO summit, the Prime Minister is making a stop in Halifax to make a major announcement for the Royal Canadian Navy. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Mark Carney's choice for the new subs are going to be announced tomorrow, Colleen, and it's between a South Korean firm, Hanwha, and a German-Norwegian consortium called TKMS. Now, the Defense Department has said that both subs meet Canada's needs, so the decision might actually come down to other benefits that the competing countries would be willing to offer Canada. An example, South Korean or German auto companies being willing to build their cars in Canada. That's been something that has been discussed. So watch not just for the details on the subs, but the other economic benefits. And the timing is no coincidence either. Carney leaves Ottawa tomorrow in the afternoon for Halifax, where that announcement will be made, and then fly directly to Turkey for the annual NATO meetings, Colleen, where I'm sure he'll be pointing out Canada spending billions more on defense spending.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mac. Authorities in Turkey have detained more than 100 people, including journalists and academics, following anti-NATO marches across the country as they prepare to host world leaders for a summit this week. Police used pepper spray and pellets to disperse protesters as they marched in the country's capital. In the lead up to the summit, Turkey has ramped up security measures, including banning demonstrations and closing off streets. As world leaders prepare to meet, there's a renewed push to find an end to the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. Attacks between the two countries have continued, and as Candice Cole reports, finding a solution to end the conflict will be high on the agenda.
As the U.S. and Western allies head to Ankara for Tuesday's NATO summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dropped this post Sunday, warning of a new massive Russian strike expected to hit Ukraine, urgently appealing to European neighbors and the U.S. for help, saying any delay with missiles for our air defense means the loss of lives. This, a day after Zelensky said he had a very good phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump about the front line and diplomatic efforts, touting a real prospect to put an end to this war, calling America's resolve decisive. He says they plan to continue their discussion during this week's summit. Last week, Ukraine faced a bombardment of Russian airstrikes that killed at least 31 people. Those strikes included over 1,700 ballistic missiles, which Zelensky says are more difficult to intercept. Trump also held a conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin Saturday that lasted nearly an hour and a half. According to a Kremlin aide, Trump and Putin discussed a, quote, settlement in Ukraine, and Trump confirmed his readiness to work toward a rapid end to the fighting. But as Trump heads into this week's summit with Ukraine and the Iran war top of mind, he does so with an air of exasperation toward his NATO allies. Airing out his frustrations via social media last week, Trump said it's ridiculous for the U.S. to continue this one-sided relationship with NATO, speaking to the lopsided difference in financial contributions to the alliance compared with other member countries. That post coming a week after Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte openly disagreed about how much European partners are paying into the organization.
Well, the big question is, are they paying the 5%? They agreed 6 months ago when we were together to pay 5%, and for the most part, they're not paying.
Well, when you look at the numbers, take for example Germany. So we agreed they get a couple of years to get there because you cannot spend it in 1 year because you have an absorption problem. But Germany, for example,
you can't.
Candice Cole, Global News, Washington.
In the U.S. Capitol, severe storms delayed President Donald Trump's speech and what was touted to be the world's greatest fireworks display in the culmination of the country's 250th birthday celebrations. After a roughly 2-hour weather delay, which saw the evacuation of the National Mall, fireworks lit up the sky over Washington. Ahead of the display, Trump took to the stage to hail the country's achievements. Environment Canada is warning of another round of strong thunderstorms in the southern prairies. Tornadoes are possible in Manitoba, along with torrential downpours, hail, and strong winds all the way west to Alberta. A storm chaser captured these stunning images of storms in central Alberta on Saturday. One of the supercells dropped golf ball-sized hail, with more possible today. The city of Brandon, Manitoba has declared a state of emergency over a growing flood threat. A series of recent downpours in western Manitoba has caused river levels to rise. The city is reinforcing its flood barriers, and peak flows are expected by next weekend. In BC, evacuations are underway in the face of an out-of-control wildfire nearing 2 communities. The Brunswick Creek fire has quickly spread to about 100 hectares since it was first detected on Thursday. Officials believe the fire is human-caused. It's happening right next to North Bend, with the entire community now being ordered to evacuate. Across the river, the 500 residents of Boston Bar are under an evacuation alert. Nearly 3,000 people are now officially confirmed dead in Venezuela after those 2 powerful earthquakes 11 days ago. Tens of thousands of others are injured or homeless. Among the many aid groups on the ground, a contingent from BC, Burnaby Urban Search and Rescue. Paul Johnson spoke to a member who arrived home after a week-long mission.
Climbing into the cab of a fire engine back in Burnaby, Ryan Berry and his teammates are decompressing from the toughest of deployments.
If I were to describe it in one word, I'd say it was devastating. We were in areas where entire blocks were all collapsed, anywhere from low-rise to high-rise buildings had all pancaked and collapsed completely.
7 members of the Burnaby Urban Search and Rescue Team and 2 search dogs scrambled to the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, in the aftermath of the devastating earthquakes there. Major disasters like these see responders come from all over the world, each one with its own special capabilities.
Being light compared to medium to heavy teams gives us the operational agility to get into country sooner. And within that first 48 to 36 hours, it's imperative to get someone in country to start understanding where the needs are.
Facing sweltering heat, the Burnaby team worked for 4 days in some of the worst hit areas of Caracas.
Our operations are, we start with our drone, and then our canine teams go onto the pile.
Their work with their drones, dogs, and microphones, they later learned, resulted in the rescue of a young boy, age and name unknown. While gratifying, it wasn't the kind of thing they could really celebrate in the moment.
When you're in that situation and you're working on sites where family members are digging with their bare hands, trying to find their loved ones, it's a very limited feeling or a celebration that we're feeling.
Feeling good about their accomplishments is something they'll all have for the future, where Venezuelans will no doubt remember that in their time of disaster, people came to help them from some place called Burnaby. Paul Johnson, Global News.
FIFA host nation Mexico in it to win it. Coming up, why Team Mexico may have a few advantages over England tonight. Three sons of Iran's former supreme leader pray beside his coffin during the second day of his funeral. The late leader's other son and current supreme leader, Mojtaba Khomeini, has still not been seen since the strikes that killed his father. During today's prayers, crowds could be seen waving flags and some holding signs calling for the killing of U.S. President Donald Trump and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. FIFA's disciplinary committee has overturned a 1-game suspension on lead U.S. men's national team scorer Folarin Balogun. Balogun received the controversial red card on Wednesday when he collided with a player landing on his ankle. The reversal is a highly unusual move. FIFA hasn't allowed a player serving a World Cup red card suspension to play since 1962. The New York Times is reporting President Donald Trump asked FIFA's president for a review of the suspension on Wednesday. He posted, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right and reversing a great injustice." Balogun is now eligible to play in Monday's round of 16 match against Belgium. And a big World Cup upset today. 5-time World Cup champion Brazil has been knocked out before the quarterfinals. Underdog Norway will move on. And tonight, Mexico is hoping for another upset as it takes on World Cup powerhouse England. Mexico hasn't reached the quarterfinals in 40 years, but as Vincent McAvenny reports, the team goes into tonight's match with some momentum.
The English soccer team getting in some last-minute training ahead of their final 16 match against Mexico. So far this tournament, they've won 3 games and drawn 1, but their performances have been lackluster. England may be ranked 4th in the world and Mexico 10th, but the co-hosts have the advantage in this soccer-mad country, and they haven't conceded a single goal all tournament. The scale of England's challenge is compounded by Mexico's formidable record. They've lost only 2 competitive games out of 88 played at the Azteca Stadium. Its location also poses a challenge. At 2,200 metres above sea level, the English squad has had little time to adapt to the altitude and the heat, with their previous 4 matches all played either in air-conditioned venues or in the rain. England's last visit to the Azteca also gained permanent notoriety, when Diego Maradona's Hand of God goal gave their arch-rivals Argentina the lead in the 1986 World Cup quarter-finals. England's manager is feeling confident though.
We are in an iconic place, iconic stadium, a massive game, knockout game against Mexico in Azteca. It's just an iconic match and a big stage, and we feel it.
With the game kicking off at 1 a.m. UK time, and with possible disruption from forecasted storms, fans back home look set for a sleepless night, watching from pubs allowed to stay open late.
Be a tough game in Mexico with the heat, so fingers crossed. Let's just everyone enjoy it, stay open, keep the pubs open.
Noisy Mexican fans did manage to locate England's hotel and attempted to keep the players awake overnight on Saturday. Whoever wins will join France and Morocco in the quarterfinals next weekend. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Capo Verde's national men's soccer team received a hero's welcome and homecoming parade after returning from their historic World Cup run. Thousands of people packed the streets of the country's capital to celebrate with the players just days after the team's hard-fought loss to Argentina. With a population of just over 500,000, Capo Verde is the smallest country to ever reach the knockout rounds of the Men's World Cup. I had one man's heart scare that should serve as a warning for all men. Being relatively young is no guarantee of heart health. Heart issues can arise with little to no warning, and cardiac surgeons are urging people, especially men who are less likely to see a doctor, to be proactive. Health reporter Catherine Ward has a story and some stats that may surprise you.
Last year, 44-year-old Victor Chan was getting ready for a hernia surgery. However, during pre-op tests, doctors found something much more shocking.
After they told me, 5 years later, they told me, that was a heart attack. I was like, okay.
Chan had no idea. Back in 2020, it was peak COVID. Chan had been training for a marathon. One day, he couldn't get his breathing under control.
I couldn't breathe. I thought I was choking.
He went to the ER, but doctors didn't catch that Chan was experiencing a heart attack.
That time, what I wanted to make sure that you don't have COVID. The COVID test on me, blood test, and say, yeah, you're okay. You're free to go.
For 5 years, Chan never experienced any other symptoms.
He looked, certainly 40, young, healthy, lean, but his arteries were much older, right? And that was the surprise. Walking around with a heart attack that has not been dealt with puts people at risk of sudden death and heart failure.
Dr. Subodh Verma says all too often men wind up on his operating table because they haven't asked the right questions or been properly screened.
This is the biggest illusion that people have, is that I'm fine, I look good, I feel good, I eat well, and therefore I've got to be healthy inside. The arteries sometimes have a different story.
About 25% of adults in Canada aged 20 and older are living with diagnosed hypertension, according to Statistics Canada. Verma says being proactive can save your life.
If you know the amount of money in your bank account, and if you know the stock market, and if you know who played yesterday and what the score was on a game, then it is imperative that you know what your blood pressure is, what your smoking status is, whether you have diabetes or not.
6 months after a successful open heart surgery, Chan says he is grateful to have more time with his 2 kids and new fiancée. He wants other men to be aware and push for answers.
Don't wait until it turns to emergency surgery or open heart surgery like me. Check it out and it'll be great.
Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
An inspiration for generations to come. Team Canada's ultimate soccer victory. Next. Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime is racking up wins at Wimbledon. He's now into the quarterfinals for the first time since 2021 after beating Spain's Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. It comes just a month after Auger-Aliassime reached the quarters of the French Open. His next match is Tuesday against a legend, 7-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic. If you weren't a soccer fan before this World Cup, there's a pretty good chance you are one now. Team Canada proved it's possible to exceed expectations and then some. All 26 players on its roster were once just kids with a dream. Sarah McDonald came across one family in Houston who knows that all too well.
After all the hype in Houston had died down as Canada's historic World Cup run reached the end of its road. Among a flock of deflated but not defeated fans.
Still fantastic, making it round 16.
We just accepted it.
We also met one very proud mom.
I'm player's mom.
You're a player's mom?
Yeah, Owen Goodman.
Owen Goodman, named to the team's roster as one of its goalkeepers. He might not have seen game time in this tournament, But have you been following him to every game?
Yeah, I didn't miss any of his game.
Abimbola Goodman hasn't missed a minute of it.
So every time he comes out, I shed tears.
He may be part of the team with a permanent place in Canadian history now. But Goodman, raised in Southern Ontario, still looks for Mom in the stands.
When he came on, he was waving and he blew me a kiss. So before the game, I sent him a text. I said, listen, you guys have changed the narrative. You guys have changed the history of Canada.
But whatever happened today, we're hoping for the best. But whatever happened today, don't feel bad.
I said, if they go through, I don't mind, I'll buy anything. I'll buy any ticket to get there.
Seeing her nephew play in the round of 16, something Goodman's aunt, Gloria, would not have missed.
I love you, baby.
Oh, you too.
You make us proud. Growing up, we didn't have everything. And here we are today. We've had it all.
This is part of living.
A sentiment echoed by Stan Raimondo, who traveled to Texas from Toronto with his own son.
It's really exciting for the future of Canada.
Yeah, I'm inspired by Canada as a team.
The future like Dylan, here with his dad.
Canada can play soccer and we can compete with the best in the world.
The team's historic run inspiring a whole new generation of future Canadian soccer stars.
It's a dream come true because Canada has been really good to us.
Who all get their start somewhere. Canada's World Cup dream may have ended here in Texas for now, as a newly minted soccer nation already looks forward to 2030. Sarah McDonald, Global News, Houston, Texas.
And that is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Colleen Christie. Tonight's Your Canada is Vancouver's False Creek. Thanks for watching. Donna will be back with you tomorrow. Have a great night.